Should you be using your pre-tax 403b or Roth 403b? What's the difference? Let's dive into it. If you're looking at a 403b plan and you're looking at the pre-tax route, remember that pre-tax means you're doing it before taxes. So when I put my money into the account, it's lowering my taxable income today. It's going to grow tax deferred. I'm going to pay tax on that money plus the interest down the road. So an example, my monthly check is $10,000 a month. I want to put $1,000 into the 403b account. It's going to lower my income. So it looks to the IRS like only $9,000. I'm going to be taxed on $9,000, not the full $10,000, right? That $1,000 is going to go into that account. And I don't owe any taxes on it until I take it out down the road. Now, while I lowered my taxes by $1,000, that does not save me $1,000 in taxes. That's different. So your tax savings is based on what your tax rate is. So if I'm on a 25% tax bracket and I did $1,000 deferral, I basically deferred paying $250 in taxes, right? 25% of the $1,000. So I put it off. I kicked the can down the road, basically with that. Now, let's say a year later, that $1,000 becomes $2,000. And I say, hey, I want to take it out. I'm going to owe 25% on the entire $2,000. So now I pay $500 on it. So as the account grows over time, you're going to have to pay money on it still. So you're not getting away with it, but you have to pay on it plus any interest you grew. Now, a lot of people think they go down tax-wise retirement. Usually not the case, especially for Washington State retirees that are career long in the system. Because when you have pensions, social securities, plus disbursements from your accounts, chances are your income doesn't change very much. So just yesterday, we had a couple come into the office. They were making about $240,000 per year. Only one was a state employee, but they had other income and stuff. Their retirement income is going to be 120, so half of that. But 240,000 in today's world is in the 24% tax bracket. 120 is 22% tax bracket. So it's just slightly less, right? So they're making half the income and their taxes went down by 2%. But if taxes were to go up like they're scheduled to do in 2026, that 22% tax bracket comes to 25%. So they actually go up down the road. So they're in a place where they're going to be making half as much income, but still be in a higher tax bracket. In that situation, that's one where they might want to consider doing a Roth route. So let's get to the Roth now. So Roth is the opposite. It does absolutely nothing for your taxes today. What it does do is allow you to access the money down the road tax-free. Both your contributions plus interest is tax-free later. So with the Roth money, with the same example, if I earn $10,000 and I wanted to do $1,000 towards the Roth 403b account, I would still be taxed on the full $10,000. Remember, it's not lowering my income now. $1,000 would still go into the account and it would grow. Now, several years later, when it was $2,000, you wanted to access the funds, you would get your $1,000 back without taxes because I already paid tax on the money when I put it in. And the benefit of the Roth is the growth is also tax-free. So the $1,000 I earned is mine tax-free. Now, the rule with the whole tax-free part of the interest is you have to be at least 59 years old and the account has to be open for at least 5 years. It's a 5-year rule. Your contributions come out whenever, assuming you have access to it without taxes, because you remember you already pay taxes on that money. The interest has to stay in there to 15.5 or 4 or 5 years, whichever is greater. All right. So now which one should we do? Which one's going to be better? A lot of it depends on the whole tax situation, but even if you're at the same or even a lower tax retirement, you still end up paying more with the pre-tax 403b account. All right, so it's also important to know that just because you may be in a lower tax bracket down the road, it may not necessarily mean you're always going to be paying lower taxes. So take a look at the screen here. So going back to our earlier example, let's say we did $1,000 towards the Roth, it's going to cost us that $250. If we did $1,000 towards a traditional 403b, we're going to defer, $250 in taxes to pay it later, right? Remember that as the account goes bigger, so does the tax bill. So right here on the screen, we're assuming we're in the 25% tax bracket now. We're going to stay at 25% in the future. It's $1,000 a month, or $1,000 in this case going in, 8% returns. So we put $1,000 in, pay the $250. Now it's going to grow. So remember, Roth goes tax-free. So now we have 1080. 1160, go to 10 years out. It's now $2,000. Remember, that's all your money tax-free because you already paid the $250 to begin with. On the pre-tax side, because we deferred it, we have the same dollar amount. Right? If we did $1,000, invest the same way, had the same growth, we'd still have the same $21.59, but now our tax bill is $540. Why? Because 25% of $21.59 is $540. So, like I said, as the account grows, so does the tax bill. So now you just owe the IRS twice as much. Now, if you took that $250 that you deferred and put in a bank account, and you earn like 1% on it, and you're like, I'm just going to use that to pay the taxes on it later, chances are it's not going to keep up, just investing it like that. It'll help a little bit, but you're still going to be out, $260 in that case. So you're still losing money and giving the IRS more money than they should get. Right now, this is just on $1,000. Most you're going to have, a couple $100,000 when it's all said and done. So these numbers get a lot bigger. Right. So let's take a look at something bigger now. Let's take a look at $100,000. So if we said, hey, over the course of we kept doing $1,000 a month, and we paid, basically $25,000 in taxes by doing that over that time frame, we'd have $100,000 in the Roth. 10 years later, we'd have $215,000 tax-free Roth 403b. If we have $100,000 in a pre-tax account, 403b, Plan 3, DCP, doesn't matter. We defer $25,000 of our career. Doesn't mean we write it off. We're just saying, hey, we'll pay you later. Now later, 10 years later, the account's worth the same, right? $215, but now we owe $53,000 on it, right? So it costs us a lot more. Now we defer the $27,000 over that time frame. So really the difference is about $26,000 in that case. Still a good chunk of change. Now, if we don't do anything about this early in retirement years, we just look at that snowball, you can see it get out of hand, and you end up owing hundreds of thousands of dollars more by just leaving your money inside of a pre-tax account. But what if we drop tax brackets? If you are in a situation where your tax bracket drops significantly, so we go from 25% down to 15%, then you're going to see something like this, where, yeah, because you are in such a low tax bracket, in that case, you would have paying less money if you withdrew it right away. So if I withdrew all the money year one, yeah, I'd actually would have saved $9,000 by going the pre-tax route to begin with. But every year we wait and the account grows, that's going to diminish our savings on it. Over time, it goes away, then we're going to end up owing again. So just because we're in a lower tax bracket, it might help initially, but if the account keeps growing, it's going to eat away at that, and then you're still going to end up owing more money in the long run. Now, most Washington State employees usually don't have that big of a drop because of pensions, Social Security, things like that. So maybe we'll go down just a couple points here. You can see that there's just the first year a little bit. After that, they're owing money. So ways you can plan with this thing is if you are in a lower tax bracket and you see this, these are good years to do Roth conversions, moving money from a pre-tax account to a Roth. So move my pre-tax 403b over to a Roth 403, something like that. Those would be advantageous in your first few years of retirement. So that's why tax planning is key. You want to know which plan to get into. All right, so I hope that helps you guys understand the difference between a pre-tax 403b and a Roth, kind of how they work, how they grow, and what kind of tax impacts you're looking at down the road. Any questions, feel free to drop them below. Catch you guys next time.